Hello, everybody. This is Sky Lakara, aka Sundance Wolf, here today to talk about Warlock Healers. Just a couple disclosures. I'm no expert, and this character is not set up ideal endgame. But I do have some general knowledge that I've picked up recently, and I'd like to share it to those of you that are unsure about how to do a healing Warlock, maybe a little timid to try it, or maybe unsure of what abilities you need and how to play in general. So let's go over a few things, and then I'll do some demonstrations. So, all right, we will start with, I guess, the character sheet. Again, I'm not purely ideal for this. I'm kind of a hybrid right now, so I'm not really going to get into too much about gear, as I'm not 100% sure. For a healer, though, you do want a high crit and decent power. There's a specific ratio. You want power times 2.5, and then you get that number, and then you take your crit and divide it by that other number that you just got with the power, and then that's going to be your percentage heals. You want to get to 50% heals. If you're over 50%, I think you have too much crit. If you're under, you have not enough crit, I believe. So that's very important. Crit avoidance is also pretty important. Mine, again, is not endgame, but here it is. Crit avoidance you want to have fairly high. For like places like tower, you want it around like 95,000 and stuff like that. My hit points are a little low for tower, so I'm not doing tower on this character. But this is my Warlock. So for healer, I went with Dex and Wisdom. Dexterity for that crit severity. Movement speed doesn't hurt either. And then Wisdom for that outgoing healing. So that's really important for any healer, really, is the Dex and Wisdom. So just two companions real quick. I do not have all of the companions I need. Potent Precision is very important for that crit severity because it's going to help you heal. Polar Bear, ideally, is what you want summoned. Mine is only green. That's why I'm not summoning it, because you're not going to get an enhanced, enhancement. You have to have a companion blue or higher to get that enhancement from an augment. So I'm not using that. But there are several. You want the Quickling, you want the Polar Bear, you want the Rebel Mercenary, and there's a couple others that I'll just list them when I post the video. So look at the comments below, because I'm not sure off the top of my head exactly every one you want, but there are 5 of them. I think Neverember Guard is another one. So again, I'll post those later for you after I record this. Mount powers, I'm going with Cavalry's Warning, 2 Gladiator's Guile, Artificer's Persuasion, Barbarian's Revelry. So I don't know, again, I'm no expert on Warlock, but this is just what I'm doing. This is what I use on Sky when I'm healing as well, so I just put it on over to this tune just to show. Okay, so powers. Power! Okay, at wills. I'm going to go over this. I use Essence Defiler. You blast a target with Eldritch Energy repeatedly, magnitude 45, added effect. The final hit of the combo siphons some of its life energy to create 2 soul sparks. That's very important for a healer, so make a note of that when I go through this video. So as I go forward, the second one I use on my off mouse, so right mouse click, is Soul Reconstruction. So reconstruct the soul of an ally by continually channeling soul sparks into them, healing them and yourself, 200 magnitude. This one is more of an emergency heal, so I don't use it all the time, but I do use it once in a while. So what I tell my groups that I'm with is, if you are a DPSer that is, oh my god, I need heals because I'm almost dead, I tell them to come to me, because this is a line of sight spell. It's a line of sight. So if you've got a lot of people in between you and that target, you need to make sure that you have that line of sight. So it's much more helpful if they come around behind you. Like, say you're fighting a dummy, and you're like up in front of this dummy here, and everybody else is also in front with you. It's hard to pick out a target. So what I have them do is come behind me, so I can just do a quick turnaround and go boop and heal them up. So that's just a note on that one. It does use soul sparks, so you don't want to go crazy with it, because you also want to keep this. And I'll go over that encounter in a second. So, important stuff. So, encounters. Pillar of Power is a must. Create a conduit of power at your location that lasts for 10 seconds. Added effect. While inside the conduit, and for 3 seconds after leaving, your damage and healing are increased by 10%. It's a no-brainer for a healer. Use it. Added effect. Allies who stand in the conduit gain 5% increased damage and are healed for 20 magnitude every second. Again, no brainer. Try to drop it by your party if you can. Unless you're fighting a boss that does major damage to AoE nearby, you want to stand a little bit back. And then all the magic users, all the distance, ranged attackers can stand next to you in that circle and receive that buff. So very important to note on that. If you feel comfortable and you're tanky enough to go right in the thick of things, drop the power by your tank and everybody else. It's going to be helpful for everybody. So that's that. Second one I use is Shatter Spark. Shatter a large cluster of soul sparks, releasing their energy into yourself and nearby allies. 400 magnitude. It does use 4 soul sparks, but it's a great AoE that heals everybody. So don't go nuts with this. Don't use it constantly. Space it out. When you see your party is hurting a little bit, boop, pop it. Let them hurt again a little bit, boop, pop it. Every once in a while, just give them a little heal. That's demonstration of that. And the Pillar of Power right here is that one. So those are the 2 so far. So other encounters. Harrow Storm you can use, but here's the problem. It also uses soul sparks. So if you're having trouble keeping up with this awesome AoE heal, I don't recommend Harrow Storm because it's going to take your needed soul sparks for that away. So call up a churning storm of eldritch power at a target location. For the next 6 seconds, the storm will damage enemies and heal allies who stand in it. Heal magnitude 200, magnitude 100. It's not bad. If you're doing regular content, it's fine. If you're doing harder content like Tales of Old or Tick, the Temple of Citadel, I believe. Infernal Citadel, my apologies. If you're doing those, you may not want to use Harrow Storm. So that's that. Just because, again, it uses more soul sparks that you really need to be using Shatter Spark. So the other healing thing that also is a cleansing ability is Warlock's Bargain. You may not want to use this one either unless you're really tanky. Again, it uses soul sparks. It does half the heal magnitude, so it's a lesser heal. It's not bad, but it also hurts you. So you make a dark bargain by sacrificing a piece of your soul. You sacrifice 10% of your maximum life and heal allies within 80 feet. Heal magnitude 200. Added effect, outgoing healing increased by 10%, duration 5 seconds. Added effect, removes 1 negative status effect from each target and yourself. So you're doing Master Expeditions and somebody hits a trap and everybody gets that debuff. This is really good for that. I use this all the time in Master Expeditions. I just pop it whenever somebody gets hurt and call it done. So, let's see. I'm just going to go over Wraith's Shadow real quick. I don't use it, again, because I find Shatter Spark a much better heal. So we'll just go over it real quick. We'll look at it. You summon shadows to smother your enemy in a sickly mass of darkness, applying a damage over time that siphons life to allies within 80 feet. Magnitude 200, heal magnitude 100. So actually, that's a lot less. That's a lot less. I mean, it's a damage over time, but yeah, I wouldn't go with this one. Doesn't seem as good. Again, I'm no expert, but I wouldn't go with this one. 400 heal magnitude, that seems much better than 100. So, yeah. So, what I'm using as my third encounter on healer right now is Blades of Vanquished Armies. Reason I'm doing this is because I'm doing Tales of Old. This is really good for Tales of Old, because you're going to get a lot of AoE, like monsters everywhere. Yes, you could use Curse Bite, but you don't always get all the targets cursed right away, so I haven't been using this one. This one is excellent for DPS, though. I would not go without Curse Bite for a DPS. Definitely use this. But this one, because it doesn't use soul sparks, and you're just surrounded by enemies all the time when you go into Tales of Old and stuff, I found this to be a very good alternative to using a soul spark healing ability, since you only really need the one. So you create a swarm of shadowy blades that circle around you, causing necrotic damage to nearby enemies. 25 per blade, 5,000 deflect, duration 6 seconds. Cursed energy blades will periodically fling themselves at a target affected by your curse. So here's this one. You can kind of run around with it. It follows you. You can hit anything. So you see how this could be handy if you're getting swarmed. It's just all these blades just constantly doing damage and hitting. So that's what I recommend as far as if you're doing like Tales of Old or another dungeon that has a lot of trash mobs constantly going after you, like Tick, stuff like that. It's not going to be useful in Tower. Don't use it in Tower. I don't know personally what other healing warlocks are using as far as fighting Hallister is concerned, but this would not be useful there. But it's definitely useful on trash mobs. So that's what I'm going with. Okay, dailies. So I'm not currently really using Tyrannical Curse, although I have it slotted. So place a devastating hex on your target causing necrotic damage. Magnitude 900, added effect curse, added effect increased damage received by you by 15%. As a healer, that's not very handy to have. So, duration 20 seconds, added effect, target is damage linked, passing on 15% of the damage you deal to them to their other targets within 30 feet, duration 20 seconds. That's why a lot of people use Tyrannical Curse, especially on a boss that has adds. But I would recommend using that on a DPSer, not necessarily a healer. I mean, if you're doing single target and you don't have adds, it can help increase, it's a hex. It does, necrotic damage and all that. But I wouldn't go with it on a healer because you kind of need to stay alive. And if this is going to increase your damage received, I would hesitate using that. What I am using constantly is Immolation Spirits. So you animate Burning Spirits to attack your foes for 10 seconds, 60 per hit magnitude. Added effect, generate 1 soul spark per second, duration 10 seconds. So that's really handy because as a healer, you need those soul sparks. So I'm going with that just because these guys not only help attack, and they do a fair amount of damage. I mean, they're not amazing, but they're not bad. They help. And if you have a lot of foes, they can help narrow down the field of monsters for you. And they can attack a boss 2x2. They can go after your boss. So I would recommend this. Another AoE one you can use is, or rather daily you can use, is Brood of Hadar. A lot of DPSers use this one because they don't have access to the Immolation Spirits. And this, I believe, is pretty decent if you have groups. So you overwhelm your target with shadows, holding them in place while dark horrors rise around them. Enemies within 10 feet of your target take reduced damage from this attack. Magnitude 600, added effect, spawned horrors, magnitude 150 per hit, added effect slow. So, that's not a bad one. So if you're doing Tales of Old and you are a DPS warlock, this is not a bad one to slot, as in this one can hurt you. And if you're already debuffed from Tales of Old, Tyrannical Curse might not be the best choice because you're already hurting yourself with your at-wills and you're getting poisoned by targets. It's decent for other dungeons and bosses, but not so good in Tales, in my opinion. Alright, Immolation Spirits, I would go with that all the time on Healing Warlock. So use that. So your shift, Shadowy Slip, everybody knows, at least everybody who plays the game knows that shift is either used for dodging, sprinting, or blocking. So that's basically what you're doing. You just whee, sprinty, sprinty, sprint. Depending on how much stamina you have, it's going to determine, how long you can do it. Stamina is right here where my mouse is going around. Right above that D20, you can see it filling back up again. That's your stamina. Okay, so the other thing to note is the tab ability on the Heal Warlock. So Soul Weaver. So drain the very essence of your enemy's soul, dealing damage to them and restoring your health and soul sparks. Magnitude 350, heal magnitude 350. That's another really important thing to notice as a healer and pay attention to. So as you drain your soul sparks, this can help you get soul sparks back. So don't tab it all the time. Don't hit tab unless you're running really low and you really need a lot of sparks because you've drained yourself. Use that in an emergency. In between combat, when you're not fighting, as you can see, mine is full. So that's a thing. I gotta pause for 1 second. Hold on. Okay, thank you for that. Sorry for the pause. And not that you guys know because there's no time gate when I pause. So so my partner disappeared. My little assistant here, he went idle. So I had to bring him back. This is my husband's tune. All right. So next thing to go over is class features. So I'm using Warding Curse. Curse now lowers afflicted targets' damage dealt by 5%. That's really handy because less damage to the party is really important. So I'm using that. I'm also using Essence Mastery. Essence Drain deals 5% more damage and healing. Damage and healing is always good, so that's why I'm going with that. So, Feats. I'm using Essence of Power. Essence Drain now has a 15-second cooldown, unafflicted by cooldown reduction, but grants 15 soul sparks immediately and does heavy damage. So that's your tab right there. That connects you to your tab. So the other option is Essence of Time. Essence Drain grows in strength as you channel it. After 2 seconds of channeling, you start to gain 2 soul sparks per tick. So it all depends on your playstyle, I guess, how often you feel you need to hit it. I like this one because it's a quick burst for an emergency. That's why I chose to go with this, but if you're not comfortable with that, you can of course go with Essence of Time. So next one I'm using, next feat, Mending Mastery. Your outgoing healing is increased by 5%. No brainer for a healer. The other option is increase the awareness and critical avoidance of your teammates within 50 feet by 5,000. If your teammates are properly built, you will never ever need this, because they should be properly built with their gear and companions and boons. This is just, no. Why? When you could have 15, not 15, your outgoing healing increased by 5%. That's just a no-brainer, guys. Use this. Next one, Lingering Sustain. Each time your powers heal an ally or yourself, they are granted Lingering Sustain. Lingering Sustain heals for 150 magnitude over 6 seconds. So another heal ability, so that's nice. That's what I'm going with. The other option, Life Bind. You create a bond of life with your group members within 50 feet, causing 10% of the damage they take to be redirected to you. This effect no longer functions if your health drops below 30%. Your damage resistance is increased by 5%. So if you're really, really tanky and you have a ton of hit points to give, this is not a bad one to go with. My character is not endgame, is not super, super tanky, so I don't recommend this unless you have high hit points and stuff, because this is going to hurt you. So helps your party, but hurts you. So go with Lingering Sustain. The other one I'm using is From the Brink. As your life diminishes, you gain 10% increased incoming healing. Very handy, because if you're dying, the healer needs to stay alive. If the healer dies, the whole party can die, as well as, your tank, your same thing. Tank dies, party goes down quick. So make sure that you try to stay alive. The other option is Self-Healing from Soul Defiler is now twice as effective. You're not going to be really using, a lot of healing towards yourself personally, so I wouldn't really worry too much about this, because if you're using your Shatter Spark, that's going to heal you as well as your party. So that's why I'd go with From the Brink. Just seems a little better. And especially as you start getting hurt, you get incoming healing that increases by 10%. So that's going to help you stay alive if you're in trouble, just long enough to get away and heal yourself. Which, again, this does. This can heal you and everybody. So last feat I went with was Spark Energy. Powers that consume a soul spark generate 10% more action points. Really important to be able to do Immolation Spirits. So that's a note. The other option is Consuming a Curse grants 2 action points to yourself and allies within 100 feet. That's not a bad option either. Kind of go with what you feel would be more beneficial to you. I'm personally going with this one, just because 10% more action points. I don't know the math. You guys can crunch numbers if you want. I just push buttons. So, that's me. Anyways, so boons, power. Go with hit points. Go with movement speed if you need it. Go with companion influence if you need it. Tier 5, definitely crit severity and blessed touch, so increased outgoing healing. That's a no-brainer. Also, for the final, the master boon, I went with blessed resilience. So that's going to help the tank heal stamina 6% on target's max. So I don't have that maxed yet, so I'm not, very helpful to a tank at this point. But it's also going to increase max health by 1,000 per rank, apply a heal over time. That's very useful for a healer, so that's what I went with. If you find you need crit avoidance, which you probably will, make sure you take that crit avoidance. You don't need much else, because you're not there to do damage, you're there to heal. So, and my tune is not endgame, so I can't really show you that I've taken anything else. So that's what I went with. Companions, there are a lot of good heal companions, again, like I mentioned, so I will link those at the end. obviously you want to get your bondings maxed. I'm going with 2 gold icons of the companion with empowered runestones rank 15 and 1 regal topaz ring of the companion. And that's to give me a little added defense. And you could go with a triple combination of this if you get your crit avoidance up. This one gives a crazy nice amount of crit avoidance and is the key to getting your crit avoidance up end game for like places like Tower of the Mad Mage. So that's the note. It's risky to do 3 of these. So this ring is really nice. You can get it from Warden Expeditions. You know, do your expeditions to farm that. This one you can also get from MEs. You can do it by getting characters through Stardock, and you can just choose it from the final box you get. So if you do 2 characters through Stardock campaign, you can buy these outright if they don't drop for you. Really, really easy to get these 2. A little harder to get this one as it's random. Mounts, Cavalry's Warning, Gladiator's Guile, Gladiator's Guile, Artificer's Persuasion, Barbarian's Revelry. That's what I'm using. Thank you, devs, for that recent pack that allowed us to get the insignias. Don't mind my crazy bird clock. I'm that kind of a nerd. So anyway, little amusement here for you randomly. So insignias, go with what you need. I'm built on my main for tanking or healing, so I've kind of got a variety. I've got some fortitudes, prosperities, dominance. You know, go with what you need, what's going to balance your stats. If you can get legendary mounts, I recommend the Black Ice Warhorse or the Arcane Whirlwind. That's going to give you 10,000 power. Definitely get a swarm. Swarms are awesome. I'll show you the swarm. So this Black Ice Warhorse. Black Ice Warhorse gives you that 10,000 power, which for some reason I didn't select. Oh my goodness. Hello. There we go. And then I'm using the T-Rex here when I do AoEs, but here's the bat swarm. So summon a swarm of bats, which release you from most control effects and increase your damage by 5%. Your target will be slowed by 5%, take 5% more damage, causing 5% less damage, have their critical chance reduced by 5%, and have their action point gain reduced by 5% for 10 seconds. Target is debuffed for 5 seconds in PvP. This is a no-brainer to have out for any DPSer. Really, really handy. If you get multiples going, that's great. T-Rex is nice for 1 person in the party as it does not stack, so you only need 1 of them. Summon the Tyrannosaur, causing your enemies fear, rooting them for 5 seconds, increasing their damage taken by 10% for 10 seconds. If targeting a minion, the Tyrannosaur will consume them. It's really funny. It's hilarious to watch them do that. They just stomp, 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 grab it, throw it in the air, and eat it. It's hilarious. But anyway, you'll need 1 of these in a party again. They are good if you have a lot of AoE monsters. They're good to have 1 of them also if you're on a boss. But otherwise, use the Swarm. And like I said, Black Ice Warhorse to get that 10k power, or Arcane Whirlwind if you'd rather. But I like the horse because I'm an equestrian. So, raspberries to you. Anyways, so here a little demonstration now that I've rambled on long enough explaining all the powers. So, first things first. Drop Pillar of Power. Drop it. Next, I get my blades going. And that is, again, Blades of Vanquished Armies to refresh you. And then your main attack is going to be Essence Defiler. Boom. Just hitting targets. That's your... So this is your main lineup right here. So as you go along, you know, get these AoEs going. And again, the blades are going to be used when you're needing to help with trash mobs, if you have a lot of trash mobs. Now let's go into this healing ability. Whoop! There's some healing. As you can see, I'm healing myself and my partner. And it's going to do to all party members. So that's Shatter Spark. And that's going to drain your soul sparks pretty quickly. So you want to just space it out. Don't use it like crazy. Don't use it all the time. I'm going to drain it just to show you how to use your tab. So I'm all out of soul sparks. I can't use it. Tap, tap, tap. Can't use it. Hold down tab. Whoop. And you get it back. So in an emergency, you can hold down tab. And yes, it has a long cooldown with the feat that I chose. But it instantly boosts up my soul sparks so that I can use it in emergency if I need to heal very, very quickly and I'm out of sparks. You can hit it again in combat if you're not hurting too bad for soul spark gain. And with all these combinations, you shouldn't have too much of a problem as long as everybody, you know, stays safe. Tales of Old is tough because you start to hurt yourself as you do your at-wills when you get into round 3. So round 3 of Tales of Old, your party wants to be careful. So advise them to go with encounter powers as much as possible to reduce the work that you have to do healing them, and to help, you know, not have to not have them risk dying and not have to use so much of your soul sparks, etc. But for the most part, if you have a lot of power and stuff, you shouldn't have a problem healing them if they're using their at-wills a little bit there. So let's bring out these little dudes here. So this is the daily that I'm using. Again, Immolation Spirits, 2 little dudes fighting beside me. They help out a lot. That's what I would go with, because they also help generate your soul sparks, healing and stuff. So let's throw a T-Rex out there just so you see what he does. Whoop! Ha! Right into the wall. Good job, T-Rex. Does like that roar. So that's basically it. So again, if you have a one person in your party that's running into trouble, like they just got whacked really hard, tell them to get beside you or behind you so you can do a turn. So you get that line of sight going with that heal right there. That drains a lot of soul sparks really quick, so be careful. See, I'm draining myself there. So it's not good to use that for long. Don't use it constantly. Only use it in an emergency. Like, oh my god, the tank is getting hurt. Everybody should be behind the boss. You stand off to the side, and let's picture the tank is right here, and the DPS are right here behind your target. You can stand off to the side, and you can heal them. Like, for example, I would be healing off to the side like this, and then, you know, doing damage over here. Oh my god, the tank needs help. Go over here, give him that little ability there. And if not, you can just do that. Shatter Spark there. And heal them. Heal everybody a little bit. So, and it's a decent heal spell. I find it to go really, really well. So that's that. So another tip. I'm going to divert away from Warlock and just go general for a moment. So the devs, a couple weeks ago from this video being made, released a pack in the Zen market that was $150.50 at 30% off in the Zen market. It was very, very awesome. It allowed you to get 3 legendary mounts that were account bound and unlockable for all of your characters once you bound them. They were tradable if you did not bind them, and I ended up getting the pack. Thank you, devs. You also got 9 legendary insignia packs and 1 legendary vanity pet pack, so random little cute vanity pet you could get. And the vanity pet from that, though it was random, you could get one of the legendary mounts as a tiny little vanity pet that would run around beside you and look totally adorable. So, check the auction house, type in the word account, and then you'll see all of these account mounts. Their prices will probably increase as the weeks go by, as in, you know, a lot of people who bought them are trying to sell them, and they're going to become more rare because they're no longer, at least right now, as this video is being made, they're not available in the Zen market anymore. So my recommendations are to get either T-Rex, get maybe the Griffin if you're tanking or healing. It's really handy to have one of those if you're doing Tower of the Mad Mage. So let's see, Arcane Whirlwind for power. I don't like it. If you have a choice to get Arcane Whirlwind or Black Ice Warhorse, I went with the horse because I don't like this guy's attack. If you get 2 legendary mounts, it doesn't matter because you're not going to use the Whirlwind's attack anyways. It's also very scary if somebody summons this thing when you're in Hallister fighting Hallister. It's like, oh my god, a tornado! Oh, it's just the Arcane Whirlwind, we're fine. So I go with the Black Ice Warhorse for the 10k power. So the other one you want to get is the Swarm. Here's the Swarm right there. So right now it's under 7 mil. So that's crazy awesome, low price compared to what it was. But these prices are going to increase as this video gets older. So unless they release it again with this coupon, then the prices will go back down. So devs, if you're listening, thank you. I did like that pack. Personally, I thought the Black Friday pack in 2019 was not good. They released legendary mounts for Black Friday, but they were not very good other than just being pretty. Their abilities weren't very good. Their powers stats weren't very good. It was just, this is pretty and you want some speed. Here's a legendary mount. But they also didn't bind to all of your tunes when you bought it. Unlike other mounts, when you buy a blue or a green or a purple mount from the Zen market, they're claimable forever on all of your tunes. So that's a thing. I didn't bother with the Black Friday thing because I didn't think that it was a very good deal. But this deal was because, say you have 10 plus characters, you do the math of what the value of, you know, the basic legendary mount would be. You do that math, that's a huge value. So I think the pack was worth it. I hope they release it again. That was really nice. So if you did get one of these account-bound mounts, once you equip them, go to the claim valuables thing, and you'll see them right here in this little message right there. So that's a thing. That's where you can find them, and again, that's forever. So I hope you enjoyed the Warlock video healing explanations. I'm going to wrap it up now. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a message, reply to this video, or you can message me at Sundance Wandering Wolf in game. That is me. My name is Skyla. I am Sundance Wolf on YouTube, and that's that. Thank you so much for watching. It would be great if you give me a subscription and ring my bell, and that would really help me out. Thank you so much. Bye.